Salut ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim and welcome to the Sounds German review of the new Diary of Dreams album, Hell in Eden. This of course is the music project by Adrian Hates, and since their debut release in 1994 it gained quite a bit of notoriety with multiple albums in the German top 50 charts. And with this long in existence and over a dozen albums under his belt, it's fair to say that Hates or Diary of Dreams are a bit of a household name by now. Now, just like with my Project Pitchfork review, I have to add that this is not the kind of music I listened to a whole lot in my life before this. So if my phrasing comes off as even more stilted or somehow unusual, if it lacks a bit of, let's say, vocabularic finesse, whatever you want to call it, it might possibly be because I simply don't know some of the genre-specific terminology. And if that happens, please feel free to point it out to me. I want to do this to learn after all. So, let's get started with the review then. As a matter of fact, I quite enjoyed Hell in Eden. While I am an annual guest on the Wave Gothic Treffen, a quite big wave and goth festival here in Germany, I never really got into the music itself. Sure, I heard what is being played here and there, but I actually don't go there for the concerts. So what Hell in Eden presented me with was somewhat familiar from the get-go. Right off the bat, the opener, Made in Shame, gives you a few seconds of isolated tones before it goes over in this incredibly epic chorus and electric drum-filled opening. After about a minute, the track starts proper and Hates' vocals interject with this almost alien-sounding electric soundscape. Now, I'll say this directly, this is definitely not the most eclectic album around, especially when it comes to atmosphere. All of the tracks aim at melancholy, accompanied by Hates' almost stoic vocals. He sadly very rarely departs from this emotionless pitch, like for example in the end part of Epicon, where it turns into slightly distorted screaming. Which is a pity because I felt he could pull that off very well. Still, if you are looking for an emotional roller coaster, so to say, you might turn off right away because this is not what Hell in Eden will give you. All the songs give you varying degrees of sadness and melancholy in terms of atmosphere, but it seems very clear to me that this is what the goal was from the beginning, and as such the album accomplished it very, very well. However, in terms of compositions, this melancholy is always presented in different ways to the listener. Sure, all the tracks are basically electronic. You won't really have any moments where a totally unexpected instrument suddenly pops in or anything like that, but Hates managed to tickle a lot of different compositions and styles out of his machines. The aforementioned Epicon, for example, starts off with a short guitar riff, while the rest is carried by distorted beat noise and ghostly background choruses. The eponymous track Hell in Eden, which to my own surprise had German lyrics, and I honestly don't know why it did, because the rest of the album is completely in English, has maybe the only melody I would call a bit, well, sunny and not so hats-on melancholic. Beast of Prey, on the other hand, starts out really minimalistic and is almost a cappella at first. And then you have a piano and later on strings setting in, peaking in a beautiful crescendo. This track made me wish that Hates would have utilized especially the strings a little bit more on this album. I found them to go along with his stoic vocals really, really well. They are, again, featured in the final track, Hiding Rivers, and they work just as beautiful there. Other tracks are filled with a variety of heavy electric beats and pumping noises, distortions of any kind, and all kinds of other soundscapes Hates could get out of his equipment. And while all the songs more or less hit the same mood, it can't really be said that any two songs sound very much alike on this album. So while not being what I'm used listening to, I really enjoyed what was on this album. However, while not bad, the mostly English lyrics came off as, well, let's say uninventive. Nothing on this album was even close to being bad in my opinion, although I felt the lyrics lost quite a bit of filigree for that one German track for whatever reason. I don't know exactly what it was, but just overall the German lyrics felt a bit lackluster on the eponymous track. The rest of the album was fine, but it all felt like your typical dark, sad poetry. Now, I get, of course, that that is a bit required for the mood of the album and is typical for the genre and so on. But for someone with this much experience under his belt, I simply expected a bit more finesse when it comes to the writing. I mean, naming your song Nevermore? Come on. But that is basically the only thing I found to my disliking, with disliking already being a pretty strong word, and I would assume that fans of the genre can look over that easily. It's basically like black metal bands singing about nature, it's somewhat par for the course. And on the upside, the lyrics, from what I could tell, also for the very most part refrained from using stupid cliched phrases. So don't get me wrong here, the texts don't come off as being written by some 14-year-old who just separated from his first relationship and now thinks the world is going under. Not at all. Not once did I roll my eyes and thought to myself, what kind of emo crap am I listening to here? However, I also never raised my eyebrows in surprise because something was phrased really cleverly or witty or in an equivocal way or something like that. That's all. So, to come to a conclusion here, I enjoyed Hell in Eden quite a lot. To my own surprise, I'll admit. Hates manages to deliver an album that is melancholic through and through, but still mixes the sound up enough for it to stay interesting and fresh over the course of its playtime. I do wish he would have utilized the things he showcased here, like screen vocals or the string instruments, a bit more than he did. But looking past that, this is a very solid recommendation for anyone digging wistful, gloomy, mostful electronic music. So, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like or just subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I will post at least one review per week, more content whenever I can manage to do it. You can also follow me on Facebook and or Twitter, links are in description, and also in the description you will find shopping links for this album and any relevant music videos or album streams if there are any. And if you have listened to this album, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you again next time. Have a nice day. Salida.